Hey there, it's Anna. Welcome to the garden. So I am just coming out here to check on a couple things and I think make some adjustments with my row covers. Also do a little squirrel prevention. I'll show you what I've been trying to do to keep the squirrels out of some of my containers. And yeah, I really need to check underneath this row cover because everything I have growing under there is pretty large, and I think it's actually starting to outgrow the row cover space. So I need to check on that and kind of see what we're gonna do. I think I'm just gonna remove the row cover actually. So if you've been around here, you know that I use these row covers primarily to keep the squirrels out of my raised beds. They do help with the plants as well. They do provide some protection, as row covers will. And the nice thing about these are actually called accelerator row covers. I am not affiliated with Gardener's Supply, but that is where I got these row covers. People always ask. And so they're accelerator row covers. So they are designed to give a little bit of heat, like kind of like warm things up a little bit for the plants. And I think that does help. I think that it kind of keeps things, I don't know, it gives them a little bit of extra whatever warmth and protection and kind of keeps things growing even when it starts to cool down. But what I've got in this bed does not need any help throughout the winter. It will do just fine in my zone 7 or zone 7A. My zone 7A winter, like that they don't need a row cover, these plants, and they're getting too big for it. Let's look at how beautiful everything is looking. It looks so green and fresh in there. Even a couple peas survived the earlier destruction by the squirrels. What the squirrels do is they get in, they just, like you can see it in this container, they just dig through everything, and it tends to dislodge plants a little bit, and especially with the seedlings, it's super destructive. They came in earlier and ate most of the peas that I had growing along here, although a couple lived, so that's nice. I think these plants are big enough now that even if squirrels do get in and dig a little bit, it shouldn't like destroy the plant unless they're able to actually dislodge the whole plant. I find that with the bigger plants, it's not that much of a problem if they dig around them. Of course, they're bearing, acorns and things that are going to sprout in the spring, and I'll have to weed those out. But as far as like, I don't know, killing the plant, once they're this size, I'm not as worried about it. But what I am going to do is take a little bit of Irish Spring soap and just sprinkle it around on the soil just to deter them a little bit. And I find that this works pretty well. You do have to keep up on it like any deterrent. If you stop putting it down, the squirrels come back and it doesn't do anything. But I find that with Irish Spring soap, you can really tell once it starts turning white that it's no longer effective. And like if it rains or you're watering the garden beds, then it'll kind of like water down the soap and cause issues. And so you just need to kind of keep on reapplying it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I've got little baby girl here with me today too, so that's who's hanging out, but she's asleep, so this is a perfect time for me to get out here and do some of these little garden chores that I can with a baby in the front pack. So let me get my Irish soap. I just keep it in a little Tupperware. So I just keep it in this little Tupperware here. Right now I just have a little piece left. I just use like the bar soap, and then I just take some little like bits. I'll use this and I'll just kind of like snip off little bits in the different places in the garden. You don't need to apply it like super thickly, just, I don't know, here and there. There's no like perfect deterrent that's gonna keep your garden perfectly safe. I think that this one works pretty well. It's not like super, not super ugly. I mean, it's not the most beautiful thing to have throwing it over in the containers over there, to have chunks of soap like in your containers. That's not the most aesthetic, but it's not too bad. It's not like I always think the slug bait is like super ugly, that you put down like those white bits. I have to do that in the warmer months, and I always think it looks unattractive. But the other thing I like about the Irish Spring is that it doesn't make my whole garden smell bad. With a small garden like this, that's, you know, I just like, I'm really right on top of my beds. Anytime I come out in the garden, I am right out here. And if I put anything that has any kind of a scent, like I did, I did garlic powder one time, and I could really smell it. My whole garden smelled like garlic, which is not a bad thing, but it's also, I don't know, not exactly what I want. Irish Spring obviously doesn't smell bad, but it also, I don't even notice it when I come out here. And again, it works pretty well. So I sprinkled that just here. I'll show you. Sprinkled that just like in and around like that, and that'll keep them from getting in and digging up the roots of these, hopefully. Also, I think that they kind of like the open soil. Like these containers I packed really full, and I put this little obelisk in them, and the squirrels have not gotten after that container at all. They really haven't dug in it. Now ones that have more open space, then they'll get in and start like digging around. But as you see, if like the plant is thick enough and there's enough in there, they can't really get in and dig. So another thing that I could do in this bed is put a few stakes in and around the plants. And I think I might go ahead and just actually, even better, I've got this obelisk. I'm gonna stick this in the bed, and just anything that's big like this helps to kind of, I don't know, it just deters the squirrels. Like they just don't want to dig around something. All right, that looks kind of pretty right there. Has a nice look. It'll help to keep the squirrels a little bit out of the bed. I mean, it's not going to do everything, but it'll help a little bit. And the nice thing too is that those collard greens are going to grow in and around it, and they'll definitely use it as a bit of support, which will be nice too. I have some other collard greens right over here, and they are stretching a little bit because this is just a little bit in the shade, but as you can see, they're kind of supported by the trellis here, and that's really nice. And then down there's a cabbage. I got my other cabbage over here. Still, while we're looking at things, look at this milkweed. Still looking so beautiful. So is the salvia. Even here, as it's getting cold, they're still just looking gorgeous. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little bit more of like, here's the damage done by the squirrels. They get in, and this is where they cause problems. They get in and they actually break the plant off. So I'm gonna put a little bit of my soap in here, kind of help these pansies out, make sure they're not uprooting the actual plant. That's when we start to get into trouble. This is the stump of the banana tree. That's why it kind of looks kind of yucky, but I just left the roots of that in here and everything. So I'm gonna come in with a little bit of my soap and just put it around here to kind of keep them out of this bed. And I'm also gonna deadhead, I think. Well, I am at it. I may need to come in and just give these guys a little bit of fertilizer. I don't do a lot of fertilizing for my fall plants. I kind of leave them to their own devices, but I think some of these plants look like they could use just maybe a little bit of food. Hopefully this will be okay. These plants will be okay. It's a little bit hard, and even with deterrents like the soap and stuff, sometimes the squirrels still end up causing a bit of trouble. The other night I came out here and I planted a few things in these grow bags that I have in the unheated greenhouse. And even though I did put down soap and everything, for some reason the squirrels have been all over getting in these grow bags. I remember this from last season too, that they really like always wanted to be digging in the grow bags, even with my best like defenses. So it's always hard because it's like, oh, I wasted seeds, and I kind of know better than to even try. I've got more starts going inside, and I actually did start some seeds in this seed tray, and so I will have things that I can plant into those grow bags. And again, it's just easier with started plants. They're less easily destroyed. I'm so sorry. In all these videos, like I feel like the last few videos I've been doing, I keep catching myself like, what am I saying? I'm always misspeaking, so I apologize. It's, you know, newborn baby girl is a treasure, but she keeps me up at night, and so it definitely affects my speech. Like that's where it comes out for me when I'm tired, is it comes out in misspeaking. So please forgive me in all my videos recently and the next one's coming up if I'm saying like misspeaking. That's why. Anyway, so it's a little bit disheartening with these grow bags because I just feel like, oh my gosh, I wasted more seeds on the squirrels again, but you know, keep trying and keep getting after it, and I think, you know, I will have things to plant in there, so that will be good once those come up. And I put some more soap down, and I actually did stick in a few of these poles, like you can see in this container. I just put a bunch of poles in there. It doesn't look the most beautiful. I might gather them at the top and try to pretend that it was like a little on purpose thing, but that's to try to keep the squirrels out of my parsley that's growing in this container and the kale. It was doing really good. They weren't really interested in this container, but you can see the little kale starts coming up. Gotta get this Gomfrina out of here, but yeah, they started digging in and around, and it just like, they just destroy the seedlings when they do that. They get completely upended, and then there's not really any saving them at that point. Ooh, a little grass. Maybe we'll pull the grass out. So hopefully these stakes will protect them. And yeah, I could just gather it, right? If I just tie it with twine and like pretend this was on purpose. We're getting into like the holiday season. So I feel like little topiaries and things like that are kind of festive. So maybe I'll do that. Anyways, I just wanted to share that these plants have outgrown the row cover. Time to take it off. Hopefully they survive. I think they'll handle the cold, so if I can just keep them happy until we get more into winter, squirrel pressure starts to die down a little bit, and hopefully we'll be having some delicious collard greens, and there's giant red mustard and mizuna in there, and I can't wait to eat those. So I could probably start harvesting some of that mustard and some of those mizuna greens for salads now, and they would be just fine. All right. I'm going to sweep up the garden, just clean up some of these leaves. Gotta try to stay on top of the fall leaves this time of year. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.